Hello, my name is Kipp Cozad, and I'm the coordinator of the Tutoring Center here at Moraine Valley, and I'd like to talk a little bit about how to use the Tutoring Center. First off, I want to tell you where the Tutoring Center is. Currently, if you need any kind of English tutoring, whether it be working on a paper or if you're having some questions about grammar, then you want to go to A181. And in the fall of 2016, we'll be having a new tutoring center, and the English portion of the tutoring center will go from A181 upstairs, almost directly upstairs, to L200. And so we welcome you, and keep in mind that the tuition that you pay, some of it goes to finance the tutoring center. So be sure that you use the tutoring center to your advantage. So first off, let me give you some thoughts about how to use the tutoring center even before you go. Think about when you begin to write your paper and you're finishing with your draft. One of the first things you want to do is you want to read your draft out loud. Sometimes it may be even helpful if you can find a friend, especially if you're in IEL, and you can find a native speaker to read your paper to you. And by going through that process, you'll be able to pick out some of the errors on your own. And maybe you don't know how to correct the errors, but by going through this process, it will help you to think about what questions that you could ask the tutor when you visit there. So let's talk a little bit about after you've written the paper, you've read through it a couple times, perhaps as I'd mentioned you had somebody else read it to you, what do you do next? The next thing you need to do is obviously you go to tutoring and you'll sign in. They'll tell you about the process if you have not been to tutoring before, and they will assign you a tutor. And this is important. The first time that you visit the tutoring center, if your experience isn't exactly the way you want it, the person that you're not working with doesn't fit your personality, or you feel that the questions that you had weren't answered exactly like you want them, keep in mind, you do not have to keep going to that tutor. You can find another tutor and maybe even go to a third tutor until you find somebody that fits your style. So keep this in mind. If you have a bad experience the first time, and I'm not saying you will, we have a lot of great tutors there, but just as a course of action, if you do have a bad tutor, don't feel like that's it, that you have no other options, tutoring is bad, and not come back. Keep in mind that there are many tutors, and please see any of them. So once you sit down with your tutor, obviously they're going to read through their paper, and hopefully you will have some questions based on what you've written for the tutor so they can help you. It might have to do with tense, like is this the correct words, do they go in order? Or I know this sentence is incorrect, but I can't get the exact wording. What's the best way to go about that? And if you bring in questions like this, then you'll be able to have a much better paper. And I wouldn't go to tutoring just once for each paper. I would kind of do a writing and then a tutoring session and then kind of a revision where you go back and you answer some of or fill in some of the points that you may have missed at the first writing, and then go back to the tutor again to maybe work on some syntax, some questions relating to commas or periods or things like that. And then in that way, when you turn in your final copy, it'll be a much better version and you'll tend to get a much better grade. And so keep that in mind. We do tell our tutors never to write on your paper, and this is very important. If a tutor does grab a pencil or pen and they begin to make edits on your paper, please advise them that you will be happy to do that. This is one thing that we train, and obviously you can't be 100%, but this is very important because we want this work to be your own. And so this is a very good component. So in the IEL program, you'll have some instructors, or most instructors, that will want you to go to tutoring after they have seen a version of your paper. And so, they will make some points on your paper. They will tell you what are some of the things that you need to work on. And then with those things to work on, you would go see a tutor and then perfect those particular points. It's important that when you go to a tutor, that you have these questions in mind before you visit them. Don't ever go to the tutoring center with a blank piece of paper and say, I don't know where to start. If you have a question like that, you should go see your instructor during their office hours, and they can get you on the right track. So again, please, in the IEL program, please bring at least a first draft that had been reviewed by your instructor before you come to the tutor, and then you can go from there to perfect papers. If there's any questions that you have about tutoring, please visit me. My room is in B260, and I have an open door policy. So if you have any questions about tutoring, please come see me. Thank you again. My name is Kipp Cozad, and welcome to visit anytime.